So today I'm changing my engine oil and my transmission fluid oil. Transmission oil? Anyway, whatever. For my Beta, the 390 RRS. These are the items that are required per the manual, so you use what you want to use. This is the transmission oil. Moto Trans Oil 1040. Give you a close-up of it and what's on the back in case you want to compare to whatever you use. And then this is the engine oil, the Moto 7100 1040 10W40, 100% synthetic. So compare whatever with whatever you use. I understand a lot of people use the Shell Rotella T6. I think they use it on both sides. This is the oil filter, upside down, HF631. Got that from the Beta dealership. And I also purchased this thing to measure quantity. It's the Motion Pro funnel. It's really cool from what I saw in the videos. And I purchased this measuring cup for the old oil. This is kind of overdoing it. I should have purchased a smaller one. I got this on Amazon, but I was kind of thinking of using it for my street bikes, since those use about 4 quarts, but this is kind of overdoing it. But no, we'll see how it works. I wanted to use this for the old oil to measure what's coming out, and then this for the new oil, and see how it works. Oh, and gloves. Use gloves. First thing I'm going to do is to remove the skid pan, and that's going to be an 8mm socket on these 2 screws. Lighting's kind of crappy right now. These 2 screws and one in the back. Alright, so the skid plate is now removed. That's what it looks like. So now I'm going to start this bike, let it idle for about 5 minutes while the engine warms up, heats up the oil. Alright, so now I'll show you the underside of this bike. Right here. The engine oil plug is this one, next to this little thingy. And then the trans oil plug is this one in the rear. That's on an angle. Both those plugs are going to be 13mm socket. So I'm going to unscrew the trans oil and drain that first. The one on the rear. And don't forget to unscrew the cap on the top. Make sure this is the plug from the transmission oil. You should have a gasket, little rubber gasket, and make sure to clean the top part, all that crap that built up. Just wipe it down with a towel and clean the threads. Make sure you tilt the bike. Get as much oil out as possible. I feel like I'm rocking the baby. Well, as you can see, my trans oil is dark. It's dark. And what came out of it was 50 milliliters, so just slightly above, probably about 800, maybe 800-ish plus or so milliliters of the transmission oil. So I'm going to just put 750 milliliters of the transmission oil through here after I plug that back up. Not much came out after I kept tilting the bike, about that much, but good to get it all out considering it's old. So I'm going to plug up that hole, or put in the plug, and then move on to the oils. Alright, so now I just cinched this transmission fluid. There it is. This transmission fluid bolt. I just cinched it. I haven't torqued it yet. I'm going to torque it after I'm done draining the oil, engine oil. So this is an engine oil bolt. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. And again, that's the same 13 millimeter socket. Well, I loosened that bolt. It was freaking tight. The dealer put it really tight. Anyway. This is what the oil plug looks like. The little foil film, or what do you call that thing? Make sure you just clean it. Be careful. Wipe it all down. Okay, and don't forget to remove this oil side cap so it completely drains the oil. This is on the left side of the bike. I didn't see a crush washer. All I saw was a gasket, and gasket looks good. I'm going to reuse this. But yeah, so I guess they don't come with crush washers on either of the two plugs, just gaskets. Time to rock the baby. Alright, so not much in the pan as far as oil, and this is the amount that was drained from the engine oil. Looks like about 650, 700? No. Yeah. 600, about 600 milliliters of engine oil. Still gotta do the oil filter. Don't forget that. That's probably gonna be a little bit more oil. And yes, shameful, dirty oil. I'm gonna go ahead and screw this back in. I'm just gonna cinch it. I'm not gonna torque it just yet. Alright, so I'm gonna torque the oil plug. That's gonna be 15 Newton meters or 11.06 foot-pounds. And now I'm going to torque the transmission plug, and that's going to be 20 Newton meters or 14.75 foot-pounds. Alright, so the next thing is to remove the oil filter. And this is the casing for the oil filter. Okay, it's on the left side of the bike next to the oil filler. Okay, keep this, keep it on. So it's going to be an 8 millimeter socket wrench, and it's going to be these two nuts right here. This is what the case looks like. I didn't see any kind of grommet or anything. I guess I'll find out in a second. Swipe the case down. So there's the oil filter right here, right there. The manual called for a special tool. What's recommended from the forums is to tap a drywall screw into the center of the oil filter and make a hole, and then turn the screw and just pull it out. I don't have a drywall screw, so just use a pick punch. I don't know what you call these things. It's a pointy thing. So just tap it in, make a hole into the oil filter, and then use a hook to dig it out. And pulled out the oil filter with the hook, no problems, very easy. One of these picks, come closer, these little picks. Put the pick through the hole and then pull it out, and then boom, there it is. Kind of dirty. This gasket was in the hole, and make sure to put that back in. And now it's time to rock the baby. So here's the brand new oil filter, I'm sorry. So I'm going to push it in. And put the gasket in. The bolts right here, that's going to be cinched down. It's 8mm Allen wrench, and it's going to be torqued at 10 Newton meters. Alright, so the total engine oil that came out, including the oil filter, is probably about 5,500, maybe 5,500 milliliters. Alright, so now it's time to reinstall the skid pan. I'm going to reinstall the skid pan. After that, I'm going to put it on the lift and then pour the transmission fluid and the oils and the engine oil. Alright, so the skid plate's back on, and put on all 3 bolts. Bolts are torqued per book specs of 10 Newton meters. Okay. Put 750 milliliters of the transmission oil, and we're back on the right side of the bike, and I'm going to fill it all the way up. Alright, so I put 750 milliliters of the transmission fluid or transmission oil, and I'm going to go ahead and rescrew this cap on, and then I'm going to move to the engine oil side. Okay, we're back on the left side of the bike. Going to add the oil, or the engine oil, and I put about 520 milliliters for now in this thing, and I'm going to check the sight right here, and I'm going to stop filming when I see the fuel level about midway. The fuel sight's about 3/4, so 520 was pretty much perfect for now. And then I'm going to start the bike up, let it warm up, and then fuel the appropriate amount up to about half to 3/4 of the sight glass. To screw this back on, the oil cap, before you start the engine. Okay, so the sight glass, it barely reads. The oil's like on the very bottom. So I'm going to add some more. I put about 100 milliliters in here. I'm going to fill it up again. So it's only about halfway now. So I'm going to add some more. Alright, so I've added approximately 700 milliliters of oil. I'm going to start it back up again and warm it up for another couple minutes. See if the oil drops down again. Just to give you an idea how many miles I have on the bike, I have 512 miles. I purchased the bike with 171 miles July of last year, 2017, and it's got 22 miles, or I'm sorry, 22 hours. I don't know. I'm new to this whole hour thing. I ride street bikes, so I normally go by miles. But 512 miles, so I put about 341 miles on this bike since I purchased it, and I don't know how many hours. I don't remember how many hours it was when I purchased it. So I'm trying to figure out what the intervals are. I don't race this. I just go on the dirt, on trails in the mountains. And the dealer, he changed the oil, and the engine oil and the transmission oil prior to selling it to me. So I'll probably check it in the next 350 miles, 400 miles or so. Oil, sight glass, and go from there.